Welcome to Ali Goldsmith's Inspired Flow. Today is bringing us to a place of clarity of what we need to do to go ahead. Every day is an opportunity to clarify a bit more our mission in this world, and there's all kinds of ways and methodologies that we've been sharing on this podcast. You're welcome to go back to previous classes and see different tips that were given over, and there you will find very foundational approaches to be involved in the inspired flow in a daily level, that your mission, your purpose, your fulfillment, everything a person wants and happiness and life can be brought out. So the question is, am I doing it today? Is it I'm talking about it, but I'm actually doing it? So that's something which a person has to allow himself or herself to have a moment of self-introspection, self-reflection, to measure, is it working, the different approaches, are you in that flow? So part of being in the flow, as I've heard many times from different masters that are posted in different podcasts and inspirational videos and things like this, like specifically with, say, Oprah, she has the master classes and other Super Soul Sunday, this kind of stuff. You hear from the famous masters in the world that they all are tapping into this flow in some way or another, and it's often at a moment of creative focus, that ability to focus, which is something which technologically is difficult because there's so much going on around us. To be able to actually focus on that inner voice and tune out of all the distractions, I think is one of the biggest achievements that the new generation are going to have to, the Z generation Z are going to have to figure out. But thank God, we growing up at a time without internet fully developed or even created back in the 80s. I remember as a kid, when I was creating music in the early 90s, it was just, there was nothing, nobody phoning me, nobody texting me, nothing was going down to distract me from that creative flow that helped me find a deeper part of myself and bring me to the Holy Land through music, through creativity, through being in that flow. And I haven't really tapped into those kind of songs as much. I mean, they developed, they transferred into a more updated spiritual understanding, a maturer version of who I am. But I didn't have to then turn it into that's how I'm going to make a living from being a guitarist, a singer. Even though right now I'm listening to a guy called Lavie Robbins who has that power to just flow and let go, and his voice is just something else. So that reminds me of why I didn't pursue it as a full career, because there's levels of creativity and talent which you have to be, once again, real. Do you have it? Is it something that other people need to hear about, or is it just to help you? So sometimes the inspired flow can just be a personal development, and that's what it was for me with music and creativity, and still is till this day. I really only share it with my family when I jam with them, and I'm not posting it publicly and generally, and keeping it something as a development. But what I do want to put out there is my inspired flow in terms of business and certain clarifications I'm having. I'm speaking out with a good friend and have the Unity Inspires projects. We did post a Unity Inspires summary of developments of 2019 and where we're at now, and what we're trying to do together. And it's really important that I share that out to all of the people here, because I do feel that keeping it to myself is not going to really allow the contribution aspect, the collaboration aspect, which is crucial. I mean, I already had a friend who's very politely and nicely given me a great recommendation on LinkedIn for my professionality, and that's something which came together because we worked on his inspired flow, which was a fashion brand, and I was really happy to have been part of that and to contribute to someone else's inspired flow, which I think is really crucial nowadays. And that's why I'm making this Unity Inspired project, is I want people around and around to have the opportunity to collaborate and to contribute something which goes beyond their own ambitions and brings us as a world, as a people. There's the Jewish people, there's the greater world, that we have so much we can do together. And I really would love to do some sort of Live Aid revival concert, especially now we see Rami Malek. He just got awarded the Global award, and so too the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. And the key scene was the Live Aid Queen Freddie Mercury moment. And we see the power of music, the power of unity, the power of connection and collaboration. And to bring that light again to the world through a unity concert, I would love to have Queen. I'd love to, but all these dreams that I have can't be done without collaboration. I'm not able to pull together the resources at this point to put together like a $1 million show that would be global and be on the scale of Live Aid, Live Earth, and all the other great things that my family were involved with more than 30 something years ago. So I was there. I mean, I remember it in my kishkas, the effect it had on the world and my family, on everything. And I'm proud to say that I'm part of such a productive family. And right now I've just been booking Nissim for Pesach. We spoke about that in the last podcast. And the town that already, thank God, are closing are so into the message, into the vision, and into the power of inspiring through music and bringing an artist on Pesach to their town, and to unleash that energy of hope and inspiration, of growth, transformation. And I believe that music can do that on a larger level, not just for my one artist that I booked for yesterday, but also for the general artists in the world, and the opportunity for all the creative forces. And I've recently just reached out to some other organizations that I think that there's no if, it will come together. It's just the question is, who are going to be the people that made it happen? And once again, I'm in my inspired flow. I'm feeling the connection to all different organizations and lights and inspirational people, and it's hopefully bringing that to my family. And sometimes there are moments of struggle and pain, which you've got to transform some of the issues you're going through into clarifications, and that's part of the process. I have no issue with that process, and I think that everybody around us should understand that inner perspective, that inner self-reflection is really what's going to constantly give you the power to tap into that inspired flow. As Tom Billy talks about the power of meditation, and that's something which has always been around in all the generations, but I think even more so it's needed, like the khuf, as they say in Hebrew, it's an emergency. It was funny, I was listening to Oprah, and a guy came on, a guy called Stephen Patson, I think, and he was saying what's the cause for him to grow is the Yetzer Hara. He used the word Yetzer Hara, it's the evil inclination. I was just listening to Oprah and hearing mystical terminologies being used to help for self-growth. And it's just amazing how much light really is out there nowadays for self-growth, and there could be much more in terms of actually working together, collaborating on a larger scale. This is what is going to be the focus, in my opinion, in the future. That's what technology gives us an even more power to do so. And imagine a moment of just concert connection, where the voices of everybody on the internet singing one song together, and it's streaming all through one moment, and a live show with one of the greatest bands in history leading that. And it's a vision I have, and I believe it will come together. If I'm not the person to do it, but I'll happily be the inspiration and the encourager. And it's looking forward. I had the merit yesterday to meet with Lewis Howes, who's one of the influencers, and it was a big pleasure to touch base with someone who is, in my opinion, the new generation of internet success stories of influencing unity. He was able to bring a guy on like Ben Shapiro and just bring out such a unified discussion, and not get caught up with politics or anything that's just not going to bring unity. And even someone who's a debater, who you would think would bring conflict, Lewis was able to bring out that unified focus, and I think that's amazing. I think that's the key for discussion to get us to work together as in a world, and rather than fighting about our opinions and making sure we win, but coming together, realize it's a win-win, that if we're able to discuss and communicate and connect on core issues, core values, and that unites us all. So I'm looking forward to see more from Lewis Howes. It was a pleasure to meet the guy, and I did tell him how much I appreciate what he's doing, his unity message, and he appreciated it. And it was nice to see him walking around the holy town of Jerusalem. I told him this is the holiest city in the world, and this is something that, I'm always here for anybody to visit me here and get that authentic experience of what Jerusalem's about and how it is a central part of everything I'm doing, and that inspired flow is even more intensified living in such a holy city. So once again, keep sharing all your unity vibes, and sorry this was a long one today. I just had a lot to say, been storing it up this week, and sometimes we've got to just allow it to just flow forth, and wish you a beautiful Shabbat, disconnect to reconnect, and we'll hear good news from everybody.